Welcome to HDTV. You now rocking with your boy. now, now, we love Charles and Shaq, and we love watching them on Inside the NBA. They're very hilarious. They know how to entertain the crowd. Sometimes it gets tiring. Um, the biggest thing is what people know is Charles Barkley is a hater. He hates on everybody. He's always taking this route. And off the court, nobody likes him because politically he always jumping to help the LGBT community or the pink folk community, but he's never really came to the aid of brothers or sisters. Not as hard as he does for the LGBT and the pink folk society. And that's the truth. Guys like Ticket TV, other YouTube channels, they give it to Charles. They make Charles, boy, they destroy Charles Barkley. It's hilarious. And there's other plays, I think it's Crime Productions or Crime Bosses, whatever on YouTube. They give him the business. But what people fail to realize and what everyone always sweeps under the rug is how great of a basketball player that Barkley was. And he doesn't get any credit. It's like people talk about him like he was a bum on the court. And it's like Charles Barkley arguably is the best power forward or in the top five power forwards ever to play the game. It's some people who has him over Karl Malone and Moses Malone for one of the best. It's some who got him over Tim Duncan. Some say I'll take him over Duncan. He was that guy. And I think people forget how great it's the same thing with Chris Webber. Even though he stick rides LeBrownies and he stick rides a lot of these players who they're okay, but he stick ride them. But other than that, Chris Webber was a great player and should have been in the Hall of Fame, especially before Vlade Divac. It was like, you serious? You're gonna put Vlade in? But let's not go off topic. Charles Barkley was better than Shaquille O'Neal. He was. And people are going to say, man, no, he wasn't, man. Yes, he was. Now, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Charles Barkley averaged 22 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and 4 assists. That is damn good stats. And he was 54% from the field. And he was 27% from the three, 74% at the free throw line. And his win shares was 172. It was hold on, give me a second. I gotta go back to it. I'm doing 100 things at once. Also trying to watch these game recaps of the week because I work so much, so I missed a lot of the games. And the Jazz are looking good right now, but I'm off topic right now. Now Charles basically was at 177.2 in win shares. Now, he was an 11-time All-Star, a Hall of Famer, 86-87 rebound champ, 11-time All-NBA, 1984-85 All-Rookie team he made, and I believe he won one MVP, if I'm not mistaken. I think he won one MVP. Not sure, but I think he won one MVP. Now, his stats, he entered the league in 84 and 85, and he was drafted by Philadelphia. He averaged 14 points that season. I believe Moses, and I think that was Julius Erving's last season he played, and Moses Malone was playing as well. I think Moses retired after the year after next, but he averaged 14 points per game, 1.2 steals, 1 block, 2 assists, 9 rebounds a game. He shot 73% from the free throw, and he played in 82 games and started 60. Now, his second year, he made a big jump in points to 20 points per game, 2 blocks a game, 2.2 steals, 4 assists a game, 13 total rebounds, and he was 69% from the free throw line. And he played in 80 games and started 80 games, so he probably was hurt in 2. Now, his third season, he was at 23 points per game, 5 turnovers, 2 blocks a game again, 15 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game. Free throws, he was at 76. He went back up, and he played 68 games, started 62. That was 86, 87. 87 to 88. 87 to 88, he averaged 28.3 points, 12 rebounds. 88 to 89, 26 points, 12 rebounds. And Charles' assists are very high each year. His highest was in 92 to 93 when he first played with Phoenix. He was at 5.1, and then he was at 5 assists a game. But he's always had high assists. He had 5 assists in 86 to 87. His points, like I said, from 87 to 88, 28.3, 88 to 89, 26 points, 89 to 90, 28 points a game, 23 points a game in 91 to 92, 26 points per game in Phoenix's first year, 22 points per game, 93, 94, 94 to 95, he was at 23, 95 to 96, he was at 23. Then he started falling off in Houston, but in Houston, he gave you 19, 15, 16, and 15 before he retired. Charles Barkley had a great career, even when he lost his step and lost everything. He still was averaging big numbers. In Philly for 8 seasons, he averaged 23.3 points, 11.6 rebounds, 12 rebounds. I round up. I don't do all that 11 point anything. 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. And he averaged 1 block in Philly. And his 4 seasons with Phoenix, he was at 23 points per game, 1 block, 2 steals, 4 assists, and 12 rebounds again. Then he averaged in Houston 12 rebounds a game and 17 points a game. So Charles Barkley had a pretty good career, like overall. And then his win shares was 177.2. Now let's look at Shaq. Shaq averaged 24 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, 58% from the field, and he shot 53% from the free throw line. His win shares were 182. So Barkley's not that far off from the win shares. Now, Shaq's first season, 92 to 93, he was 23.4, 4 blocks a game, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, He played 81 games and started 81 games, did the same thing of number of games in 93 to 94, averaged 29.3, 13 rebounds, and, 9. And then he went to 29.3, 94, 95, 95 to 96. He had 27, 96 to 97. He had 26, 28 in 97 to 98, 98, 99, 26. 99 to 2030. So he was averaging around 29 to 30 points for the Lakers until 03-04. He dropped to 22. Then he dropped to 23 in 04-05, and then 05-06 because he went to the Miami Heat 04-05 and he just started dipping after that. And then he went to Miami. He played with Miami. Then he went to Phoenix. He was averaging 13 points, and then he went to Phoenix the next year, of course. He was at 18. His rebounds kind of dipped. And then at Cleveland, he had 12 and 7 rebounds. And then he played for Boston. He was about done when he had 9 games, 9 points and everything. But looking at him, LA, he averaged, for 8 seasons, he averaged 27, 3 blocks, I believe 3 steals. Is that blocks, excuse me, sorry about that. Blocks, he had 3 blocks. He had a lot of turnovers for a big man. 0.6, which I'll say 1 steal, 3.1 assist, 12 rebounds a game. 4-season Orlando, 27 points, 13 rebounds, 1 block. Had 4, I think, steals. He had 1. He averaged about 1 steal each year. In Miami, his 4 seasons, he dropped. He was at 20 a game. He was only at 9 rebounds a game, 2 blocks, and I believe that's blocks. No, steals. Yeah, blocks, he was at 2. He was at 3 his previous years when he was with the Lakers in Orlando, and then Phoenix, he dipped to 17, and then 1.7, 2 assists, 1 steal. Blocks, he had about 1.4, or you could say 1. And then Cleveland, he was at 12. Boston for 1 season, 9. So I don't really count the Cleveland and Boston. He was done at that point, and Phoenix. His 2 years in Phoenix, he was okay. Now, basically, when we look at who's the better player, the better player to me is Charles Barkley. Barkley was a better shooter than Shaq, hands down. He was a better shooter. Chuck was a better rebounder than Shaq. Offensive rebounds, Chuck was like at 4.4, 3.1, 4 a game. Defensive rebounds, 8, 7.2, 8.4, 8.4, and he had totals of 12, of 12, 12, 12, and then 12. He basically averaged 12 rebounds his whole career. He averaged 12. Now, Shaq averaged only 11 rebounds. Now, for his career, and to be that big, Shaq wasn't that dominant. And that's what I try to tell people. Shaq was not that dominant. They want to make you believe Shaquille O'Neal was this force in the middle when he wasn't. He was getting away with a lot of offensive fouls. Like, let's look at his career, which he averaged 11 rebounds. He had 11.8, which is 12 in LA, his 8 seasons. And he had 13 his 4 seasons with Orlando. But after that, Shaq was in the 9 or single digits of rebounds. Offensive rebounds, he averaged 4 in LA and then 4 in Orlando. Then he went down to 3 offensive rebounds and then 3 defensive rebounds. He had 8 in LA for 8 seasons averaging, and then he had 8 in Orlando, 6 in 4 seasons, and Phoenix, went down to 7. I mean, went up a little bit to 7 and then 5 and then 4. He was out the league. So to me, Chuck was the better rebounder, hands down. The better passer was Charles. Charles averaged 4, sometimes between 4 to 5, maybe 6. If you look at Chuck and his assist totals, he had 4 for his career. He had 4 in Philly for 8 seasons. He had 4 in Phoenix for 4 seasons. In his 4 season in Houston, he had 4. So he basically averaged 4, maybe to 6 assists sometimes in a good game. If he had a game like that. Now, Shaq, on the other hand, he was a good passer for his size. So we can't take that away from Shaq. Shaq was averaging about 3, I believe. Yeah, 3 assists. He was at 2.5, so 3 assists. So basically, his 8 seasons at LA, he had 3, then 2.4, 2.1, 2, 2, and then 1. So basically, Shaq, he was a good passer, but not as good as Charles. Charles could get you in the back cut. He could lead you to the score. He knew how to move the ball. He didn't dominate the ball like that. He wanted to get everybody involved. That's why if Charles dominated the ball, Charles could have averaged 30 a game, maybe 35. But he was more team-oriented. So now, defense. Shaq was the better defender. And he was. Shaq was the better defender. Charles was okay, but sometimes Charles was slack. When Shaq had a fire lit under him, like Phil Jackson said against the Blazers, are you going to guard the pick and roll? Because we're not going to win unless you step out on the pick and roll. And when Shaq started stepping out, even though it was some foul calls, especially when he dang near killed Steve Smith on a play. Steve Smith still up to this day says, listen, I was fouled. And you were, Steve. You were fouled. But you got to think about it. Shaq, to me, was a better defender, better rim protector, because he was 7'1" compared to Charles 6'4". But, that's given. Now, overall player. Charles was the better player. Like I said, he was the better scorer and shooter. He was the better passer. He was the better rebounder, both defense and offense. And not only that, he was what I said, yeah, Charles was the better scorer and shooter, rebounder. And Charles shot the free throws better. He was a way better free throw shooter than Shaq. So what separated them? Why didn't Charles win? Well, if you look at the teammates Charles had, Shaq has had better teammates. And I keep telling people it's an indictment that Shaq even gets considered for the greatest of all time. It is. How are you the greatest of all time when you had a Penny Hardaway, you had a Kobe Bryant, and then you went to D. Wade? You went to probably 3 of the greatest wing players we've ever seen in history. And you didn't really have to guard nobody later in your career in your prime. You were struggling against those guys in your prime. You were letting Karl Malone, Tim Duncan dominate you. Charles was going at those guys. Charles went at the centers like Robinson, Pat Ewing. He was going at it with Bill Laimbeer and those guys, and he was holding his own. You weren't holding your own in games where you played against the Blazers, the Kings, the Spurs. The year y'all swept them, y'all cheated the Spurs so bad, you were getting away with knocking David Robinson and Tim Duncan over. They looking at the ref like, dude, where's the call? So that's what I'm saying. Shaq, to me, for his size, these are not good numbers. You're at 24 a game in points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. And your win share was 182. That's it. If we look at Charles, Charles is 177. And if he would have had a better team, who knows where he would have been at? Who knows? His rebounding for his size, Charles Barkley dominated, being 6'4". They say he's 6'6", but he was 6'4". So for his size and to be big as he was, he dominated the game better. The better teams was Shaq. Shaq teams were better, hands down. You had a better supporting cast than Charles would have. And you did. That's no indictment to Shaq, but, Shaq did what he did. He got blessed with guys that could cover up for his deficiencies, which were on defense a lot of times. He was slack on defense. Now, let's see. If we look at the Suns when they lost in the finals, that team with Paul Westphal as a coach. And that team won 60 games that year. That was a good team. And on that team, per game, Charles had 7 people in double figures, including himself. When the playoffs started, per game, it dropped from 7 or 6 to 4 people. This is where Cedric Ceballos got hurt and really didn't play in the playoffs, and Richard Dumas had to step up. So that was the finals there. Now, if we go to Shaquille O'Neal's team in the finals, when he played, let's see, when they were in the finals, 94 to 95, they got swept in the finals. If we look at that team, Shaq basically had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 5 guys in double figures. When the playoffs started, he had 5 guys still, compared to Charles' 4 guys, including him. 5 guys for Shaq, including with him. The only problem with that Magic team was their bench. Anthony Hardaway basically dropped to 20 a game and gave you 8 assists and 2 steals a game and a block. Shaq was at 26 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks in the playoffs that time. Now let's look at let's look at Charles. Let's look at Charles in this. And that's why when people get mad when I tell them the truth is that Charles was better than Shaq. He didn't have the team that Shaq had. If he had a Kobe or D Wade, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me what he would have done? It's a travesty to even have to do these comparisons, dog, because these young kids, they just don't know. It's not their fault. Because I had to go learn about Isaiah, Bird, and Magic a lot more, because people was talking about them like they never could touch Jordan when they were beating Jordan in the 80s. So sometimes you have to do history to see what's going on and not be caught in this crap and what people are trying to feed you. Now, the playoffs per game, Charles was at 27 a game, 14 rebounds. 14 rebounds in the playoffs. At that time, they went to the finals. 14 rebounds. Had 8 assists. No, not 8 assists, excuse me. Had 4 assists, 14 rebounds. Shaq was at what? Shaq was at only 12 rebounds and 3 assists. 2 blocks compared to how many blocks was Barkley? Yeah, Barkley had 1 block. Like I said, Shaq was a better rim protector and defender. But that shows you Barkley's the better player. And Penny Hardaway was averaging 19 to 20 a game. So that's what I'm saying. What are we talking about? Not a complete team. Charles did have a better complete team, but he had Penny Hardaway. I would take Penny Hardaway over Marley, Kevin Johnson, and Dumas any goddamn day. And it's just the truth. You can be mad or say what you want. Shaq was overrated. He was not dominant as y'all think he was. They just show you highlights to make you be like, yeah, man, Shaq used to do all this. But really, Shaq has no substance. Him and LeBrownies are the same player. They're the same player. I call him Shaquille O'Fat, and that's LeBrownies. But Chuck is absolutely right. If I had D Wade or Kobe or Penny, I would be great too. And he's right. So I'm tired of this notion that, and then people talk about he went to Houston. Clyde was done. Hakeem was done. Scotty was supposed to come in and take the load off, but Scotty mentally was too weak, and Charles saw it like, man, you is not good. And everybody realized, man, Pippen trash. And that's what we've been telling you. We didn't need the Bulls' last dance to tell us how good or bad that Scottie Pippen was. But Charles Barkley was the better player, the more superior player, and he is right. If he would have had Penny, Kobe, or D Wade, he would have had 4 championships with Charles Barkley. With Shaquille O'Neal. He would have had those chips instead of Shaquille. Shaquille just played at the right era, the right time where he was in his prime. It really was no dominant big men like him. It was just him, and he was only putting up those stats for a career. But yet you're dominant. And I keep telling y'all, Wilt Chamberlain, you guys tell me he didn't play against nobody. He averaged 30 points, 23 rebounds, and his win share was 247. 247. So I don't want to hear this. And he averaged 4 assists a game. So he wasn't selfish. So I don't want to hear this crap about him, Shaq, being more dominant than Wilt. No, he wasn't. Wilt Chamberlain, each year he averaged in 59 to 60. Wilt basically averaged 38 points, 27 total rebounds. And his assist was 2.3. Then he played 38 points to 27 rebounds. He had 2 assists, then 2 assists again, 50 points, 26 rebounds, 44 points he was averaging, then 36, then 38. When Wilt Chamberlain started going down, he still was averaging 18 to 19 rebounds a game, of 15. That's dominance. His lowest points in his career was his 5 seasons in LA. He still was averaging 17 points, 4 assists, 19 rebounds. Now, that was his lowest totals, which was in LA. Now, let's look at him in the playoffs. If they show in the playoffs, his numbers got better. In LA, his 5 seasons, he was at 22 rebounds. He jumped from 19 in the season to 22, and he was at 16 points. His best years probably were Philadelphia and San Francisco Warriors, where he was at 34 and then 26 in the playoffs. That's dominance. That's dominance. Shaq was not dominant. He wasn't. So for you guys to keep disrespecting Chuck about not having rings, go do your research. Chuck tried to win. He tried. He didn't have the horses with him to win it all. And then Chuck, they didn't have anybody to guard Michael Jordan. And in the other games, they were about to beat Houston, but Mario Elie hit the shot to beat him. And then he was in Houston. He played with Houston. Utah, John Stockton hit the shot to beat him. So he just had misfortune. That's just all that happened. But for his career, Chuck held his own. Wilt Chamberlain even gave him respect. He even said if Charles had the ball as much as Michael Jordan, he would be better than Mike. And he would be. But that wasn't Charles' game. That's why I try to tell y'all, Michael's not the greatest player ever. He was probably the greatest scorer of the basketball we've ever seen. The things he could do, I'll give you that. But you guys disrespect Charles because he does his antics off the screen. He doesn't support the blacks. He supports the LGBT and the pink folk. Okay, but that doesn't take away that he was a great basketball player. So for you to keep comparing this Shaq and Chuck is just pissing me off because I watched these guys growing up. Shaq was good. Shaq played, he was phenomenal for his size and to have that athleticism. But when Shaq started losing his athleticism, he never worked on his game. Charles still could hit the three. He still could hit the mid-range. He could take you off the dribble. He can hit from the elbow. He could post you up and do the fadeaway on you, or he can go underneath and make a basket. And he had a great left hand. Shaq didn't have a great left hand for his size around the basket. His touch was not as good as everyone thinks. So let me know in the comment section, who do you feel is better, Chuck or the Diesel? I got Chuck by a landslide, and I just showed you why he was a better player. I even showed you at the highest of their peak, Chuck was better than Shaq. Even at their worst, Chuck still was better than Shaq. Even in his latter years in Houston, he was putting up better numbers than Shaq was in his latter year of his career. So I don't want to hear no more of this comparison or Shaq talking about, see, Chuck, I got rings. I got rings. Just like Chuck said, if I would have had the great Kobe Bryant or D. Wade, I have rings too. Carrying your fat ass up the court. Man, like, comment, subscribe, and share this, please. And you can email me. I have it in the description. Follow me on Twitter at Welcome to HDTV. And I got music coming probably later this year. We're doing songs. Me and my brother gonna hook up. The cracking. He gonna get it cracking. We're gonna have some other stuff for you. I got some more videos dropping soon. I'm gonna try to do this as much as I can. I work a lot, but bump it. I'm still going to do it because I just have a lot on my mind and you guys help me get things off my chest. So I just showed you also in this video what dominance mean. Wilt compared to Shaq, and it shows you when Shaq played in an era with no centers, what he did compared to what Wilt was doing. And Wilt dominated. And Wilt would destroy Shaq one-on-one. So that's no comparison. I'll probably make a video explaining Wilt versus him, but Shaq had better teammates than Barkley. Barkley probably had a better overall team as far as role players, but Barkley never had that number 2 guy who could just go off for 30 or 40. like Shaq had. Shaq had Penny, who could go for 30 and 15 or 20 assists. He had Kobe, who could go for 40 or 50 points and give you damn near 10 or 11 rebounds and 5 or 6 assists. He had D Wade, who could go for 30 or 40, give you about 8 assists and like 5, 6 rebounds. So it's no comparison. And again, thank you for subscribing. Let me know in the comment section, who do you take? Chuck, the Chuckster, or you take the Diesel? And we're out. Live, boy.